What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out Charlie Kirk triggers lefty students with biology. Let's get to it.
Sure. What do you mean by men are women, and why is it just?
Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. The second part of your question, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Why is it the topic that?
Oh,
you
yeah,
care
well,
about?
it sparks conversation,
Yeah, it's really loud. We need headsets.
for sure. I think it's also just rather fundamental to be able to, organize a society if we can't agree what men and women are, right? So, but yeah, I believe gender and sex are the same thing, and biological reality shouldn't be ignored.
So why? I mean, that's not quite my question. Like, because I understand that.
Okay,
as
sure,
your
yeah.
argument. But what compels you to sit on a college campus and talk about it? Like, why is it a topic you're passionate about?
Well, it amazingly meets disagreement, and I'm curious as to how on earth someone could disagree with this. So I think that's worth kind of exploring and kind of talking about. And I also think it's kind of insane to believe that men can become women and women can become men.
I see. Like, I understand.
And also, college is where generation is basically raised. So yeah, you wanna do an impactation on the college, contrary to the impactation they might be receiving elsewhere. So it creates a balance. That would be another point why he's talking about it in college.
I understand that that's your stance, and
Yes.
I agree with it, and I don't think that there's. I don't think.
So
that
you're
either
asking
of
like
us
what
are gonna-
drives me to come here
Yeah.
and talk about it?
Because I don't think I'm going to change your mind, and I don't think you're going to change mine. So
Yeah, no, and but part of it is like, if we're not, maybe you'll make a point I won't think of, probably not, but maybe you will, right? Because I do this a lot. Maybe I'll make a point you'll think of. But also, I'm a big believer that public and open,
Dialogue.
sometimes provocative speech is fundamental to a free society, right?
Right.
It pushes boundaries, it gets people out of their comfort zone, it makes you live in a less totalitarian moment, at least in that instant, right? So I just think it's really healthy. I think it makes you more human, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you're like, oh, like, that's really stupid. You just keep walking. I'll find
Yeah.
whatever, I don't care.
Well, I guess,
Right?
okay, so because I feel like there's not a lot that I could say that you haven't heard.
Yeah, I
Which
mean,
is why
sure.
my main thinking on the topic is that for a lot of people, for trans people, I don't know if you're, for a lot of trans people, like, it's a matter of life and death to express themselves the way they want to and embrace the identity they want to, and to use the pronouns that they care about. And what is it to you to not respect it?
Yeah,
Like,
so-
why do you?
There's two separate
Good
issues.
question.
We could go on endlessly, and it probably wouldn't get anywhere where I would be like my own personal opinions on that.
Right.
But the more important question is, how does society react to it, right? That's the more important question. So I'm not going to convince trans people they're not what they say they are. Like, that's a waste of time. The question is, should we change bathrooms, like college sports? That's the more important question, right? Should we teach this stuff in schools? And I would say, the moral question from my perspective is that I believe people, first and foremost, born as biological men, right, should not be allowed to exploit or damage or harm people that do not have the same testosterone, bone density, or muscle mass. Let's just take like athletics, right? So NCAA women's swimmer champion Thomas was a man, transitioned to a woman, wins the NCAA championship, right? So that's a moral question where I say, okay, you can think whatever you want, but you should have to compete in your own your chromosome should dictate what athletic competition you're in, right? So you say it's a matter of life and death. I think doing therapy, whatever, but your therapy shouldn't be disenfranchising other female athletes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's specific to athletics. And
That's just one example of a ton, right?
like that.
Okay, yeah, that was a good conversation. I think the lady asked good questions. Honestly, I must commend her for that. And she wasn't aggressive like we usually see. So I'm going to commend her for that also. But Charlie Kirk did make some very good points. And I kind of agree with Charlie Kirk on that one. You can have your opinion on whether somebody should be transgender or whatever you think about that. I don't think what a lot of people fight against is what people want to be. People fight against when it impedes on another person's freedom. Like Riley Gaines. I don't think she would be talking about the NCAA and all of those sports if something wasn't taken away from her. I feel like that's where people are concerned about. Yeah, on a normal day, I don't think I would go on on the road or on the street and see somebody who is transgender or somebody doing their own thing, and I'll be concerned or I'll be hating. Like, I particularly do not care. But in cases where you go to a female washroom and there's a biological man in there, it's going to raise concerns. Or you have a kid and you take your kid to school and they're doing like a drag show in schools, or a drag, what is it called, meeting or tutorship in school. Parents are going to be concerned. Not like parents hate drag particularly, but when it now crosses over to something that directly connects to them, that is where they are concerned. I don't know if that makes sense. So you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do. Just it shouldn't cross over to another man's lane. Stay in your own lane, and that's where peace is going to reign. But if it starts crossing over, people are going to talk about it. And yeah, I do agree with Charlie Kirk on this one. I don't always agree with him sometimes. Most of the times I do, because he says the things I like to hear. But sometimes he gets too intense that I wouldn't, not like I don't agree, but the delivery in, or the tone in which, or the manner in which he says it kind of gets a little bit excessive, and that's why I kind of disagree sometimes. But for this video, I do agree, and the young lady asked very good questions. Hopefully she learned from the answers she got. Well, it's the end of this video. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a wonderful day. Peace. I made this better.